You are listening to another AlwaysMoto production. The AlwaysMoto podcast with your host, David Hogan. We talk moto events from around the world. All the injuries, all the training ins and outs, the bikes, parts and gear inspections. The results, we interview your favourite riders. It's the AlwaysMoto podcast. We occasionally have some coarse language and the odd stuff up along the way. If you don't like it, or you don't agree with us, turn it off right now.
I want to remind you that he is not
Let's turn that one back on, and hopefully we've got the sound going back on. How about now? I know we did all this testing this afternoon. We had it rocking along. It was absolutely fine, and then we've just stuffed it up somehow. So that's a good start to the show. Maybe we'll check that out. Let me just take the earpiece off here, and I'm going to turn it up on the... Well, I can hear it through the stream, so hopefully we are okay. Benny, you check that on your end too. Yay, here we go. He's got a comment back. Rooster, thanks for letting us know, mate. But the earlier part of that show that you will have missed from the silence will be in the podcast. You can check that back. So anyway, we're distracted. We're off on tangents anyway. Benny, let's get into the show talk anyway as well. Enough of me gloating about, winning 8 hours and whatnot with the mixed team. AusPro kicked off round 1, Wonthaggi. Always an interesting event down there. It's obviously, we said about it last week, it's the bottom of the world down there. Actually had some decent weather by the looks of it, which was good for the event. But we had some interesting happenings go on. Obviously, the MX1 side of things probably kicked off with that Kyle Webster qualifying incident that left him, I don't know, going for scans and getting a medical clearance according to the coverage. But he turned up back on the line. No harm, no foul on the Sunday. Got pole, got, whole shot and crash, and then a whole shot and second. So he seemed okay, but it was an interesting start for Team Honda and Kyle Webster, that was for sure. For someone who does so many laps around that place, I will say that I felt that Webster's bike didn't look like it was set up well. And if I remember correctly last year, I thought the same. And that was part of how he crashed last year, is he just got this big ejection kick in that sort of section past the mechanics at that point in the I don't know if that was the same setup this year or not, but he got that weird kick. And then he had that crash in the second moto as well, where he sort of tipped it over after he got a buck off essentially it was a braking bump off the downside of that roller. I just don't know that his bike was set up in the rear very well. It looks so lively, and that probably sort of led to a few crashes. You contrast that with Jed Beaton's bike, the man looked like he was on rails. It's interesting, but like I said to you guys last week that, watching Jed Beaton at Canberra when he did this New South Wales state titles around there, he didn't look fast, but he was winning by a long way and came through the pack to win as well for one of them when he went down on a start in second moto. He just didn't look anything crazily special or anything, but he just got the job done in such a consistent manner, and he looked exactly the same in Wonthaggi. So I feel that's an ominous look. I said that there's something about him being, owed one, but for whatever reason, he looks like he's going to earn it out this year. Webster's in a little bit of a hole already, and as you could tell from the start of that one, where the way that in Moto 1, the way that Webster rode back to third from dead last, there's not much competition in that ability to chase those two guys and make it hard for them. There's a big disparity in the class there. Now, I'm just going to stop here, Benny, for a second, because apparently they can't hear you for some reason, which is an odd one. So we were having all sorts of audio issues after we thought we'd fixed everything this afternoon. So maybe it out of into the wilderness. Here he is. He's back. I know, but that might be why we couldn't hear you for a bit there. No, we definitely can't hear you on the coverage. So we're having awesome audio tonight. I tried to, just a little FYI, I'm obviously being heard through the audio because I can hear myself talking through it when I check it on here. But I was trying to set up some other things to try and make it work a bit better across our thing this afternoon. It seems that I've just broken everything in my power to break, it seems. So let me just check out what we're doing here. And when Benny, give us a 10, count to 10, Benny.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
There we go. That'll do. I think we're going to have you back there. Let me check that one. Yeah, we got him. All right. Sorry for the tech support mid-show, but what are you going to do? We're a low-budget production here. Right, Benny, thoughts on the disparity in the MX1 class? Because there's two guys at the front, Beaton and Webster. They had a massive gap, and obviously Beaton, it was a bigger gap between Webster as well this time around, Moto 2, because of a little tip over from Webster. But there is a big gap back to then Ferris, Tanti, Waters, and then another bit of a gap further back from those guys. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's interesting. Our guest coming up went from sort of last to, I think, 7th as well. So that sort of shows where we're at. A bit closer competition between, at least top 5 or 6 would be good to see. But it's sort of the way it's been for the last few years now. And I don't really see it getting, there'd have to be, so I guess maybe someone come from overseas to be able to battle with these boys up front. But being in the Supercross season, it's probably not going to happen.
No. So motocross side of things, we're just going to deal with this in MX1. We're going to have a 2-horse race sort of thing, unless there's injuries. I'm going to leave our surprise for the MX1 class because it's the man that's coming up, and we'll say that to him when he gets on the line. But the disappointment for me, and this might be a bit of a change for one of them at least, is Nathan Crawford. His results wasn't very good, but as he said on the coverage, he actually hasn't raced because he didn't race through Supercross because of an injury. It sounds like he didn't get much time on the bike in the off-season either, and he's potentially underdone fitness-wise and bike time-wise. So that might explain his results. I did try to reach out to him earlier today, but I haven't got a response as yet. But my other sort of disappointment in this was the new signing for Empire Kawasaki, Brad West. The results were really not what I was expecting. I thought he would have been in that 3 to 5 range, and he was nowhere near there.
Yeah, I think we said last week, my sort of pick that I wanted to see have a good result was Crawford, but sort of ended up, same as last year, didn't really go anywhere. But yeah, I wonder whether it's just a bike thing for West or not a lot of time or just adjusting back to the, one taggy. I'm not sure.
Yeah, hopefully it's just maybe an unfamiliarity with the local circuits because he hasn't been here very much in recent times. He's obviously been over in the US a lot. Hopefully there's something that he can come, start building into the season with. But yeah, that first motor obviously pulling into the mechanics lane wasn't good. And then Moto 2 wasn't much chop either. So yeah, no good there. MX2 side of things, Alex Larwood. Got to say, not surprised, but somewhat surprised. But my surprise of this class was Byron Dennis for me. Coming through from some little issues in Moto 1 and then just solid ride really in Moto 2 there. Pretty shocked after seeing what he didn't really do much. Obviously I think he had an injury, if I remember correctly, in Supercross. At the end of last year, so wasn't expecting heaps out of him. But yeah, he actually put it to his new teammate, who was probably the more fancied one in Dylan Walsh. So yeah, surprised by Byron Dennis, Benny.
Yeah, I think he got a podium in Adelaide for the Supercross, and I just wonder whether or not that gave him some confidence and then off season to come in. But yeah, I would have probably thought that Walsh would have been ahead of him. But that's not the way that it turned out.
No, so interesting there. Some disappointments in that MX2 class for me, and again, this is going to come across as maybe a little bit rough on them, but the same reason as the first one in terms of MX1. Ryder Kingsford, but then again was said that he was on the couch after the Supercross with an injury that he was recovering from and hasn't had the time on the bike. That would explain what I said about him fading at Canberra a couple of weeks ago when he had the lead and then he got eaten up in the late part of the moto. So there's just no race fitness and potentially no familiarity or a lot of testing done on that Honda. He's obviously changed from Yamaha to Honda, so there's a bit there as well. Hopefully we've got a month now between round 1 and round 2 being in Canberra. Hopefully we see something from Ryder Kingsford in that time. The other one for me, and I thought he was ready to go and maybe just nerves or, bad starts with a problem here, but Noel Ferguson. He seemed ready to go. He was posting in a manner on socials that sort of gave you a bit of, he seems like he's on here. And then, just not the results that I thought that I would see from Noel Ferguson.
Yeah, and that's, we talked about that as well last week. There was good signs coming in, did well, and then it sort of just faded away. Sort of panned out the same as last year. This year, at least I get both years he's been learning a new bike. But I just thought, like you said, the way that he'd been posting and was saying he's ready to go and stuff like that, you would have thought, and after the Sunny State titles, I would have thought he probably would have done a bit better.
Yeah, just interesting. But again, maybe it was just the first round jitters. The starts were pretty bad from what I could tell for Noel Ferguson, whether that was just he's changed teams as well, whether that was him getting familiar with the Yamahas, in that setting. Maybe just muffed his starts, who knows. But let's see what he does at round 2. Probably expecting a bit out of him at that point. So we'll see. MX3. Jack Devson. I talked about him and Riley Burgess's battle at Canberra. Jack Devson showed that he's got some class in this MX3 for this year. He did a really good job. Hayden Draper as well. But Jackson Fuller put up some fight there on that KTM in that second moto to hold out Draper. And our man last week, the week before. It was last week that was on the show with us, Riley Burgess. Moto podium and then a 6th to get 4th overall. I think that's really good for Riley in terms of him getting involved. And our man's just jumping in here on the side. So we're going to switch streams here and we'll just set some things up. But our guest for the night has just joined us. He's the number 16 in the MX1 class. He's a privateer on the Yamaha. It's Luke Zielinski. Luke, how we doing, mate?
Good, thanks. How you going?
Yeah, good, mate. We're going to try and get you to do, and Benny, this is your technical thing we've worked out this afternoon. Luke, turn your phone on the side and see if you can get us into the screen a bit better for us. And if it doesn't work, there we go. Now we might be in a bit better shape. Hold on a second. I'm going to pin Benny so that we get this all ran the right way. Hopefully this will, there we go. We're back in the manner. Right. Beautiful. Look at that. The smiling face, the hairdo, the mo. Look at the flow going, mate. What's happening there?
Just actually, that's about it.
Now, good to see we got the times right finally. It's usually my efforts with Queensland to normal, regular time in New South Wales always stuffs up, but we got it sorted out, so that's good. How was your weekend, mate? You had what I would call one of the surprises of the weekend in terms of very solid results for you. And maybe better than some others that should have potentially done better than you. Like there was a few people that they listed out on the coverage as like names to watch in MX1 and you beat out a few of them. So you should be pretty impressed with yourself there. I was impressed with it. How do you see how the weekend went for you?
Yeah, look, it was good. Obviously, I'm really happy with that. I didn't know what to expect leading in. Obviously, not doing motocross last year due to injury, and then only doing 2, technically 3 Supercross rounds last year. So I had a lot of time off the bike last year. But I've been training hard pre-season. I don't know. I just didn't know what to expect. I know, obviously, how I can ride and what I can do, and it's all just really come down to, I don't know. It was just from the time I started riding on Saturday, I just felt really comfortable. All all weekend long, and like, yeah, I rode good, but it's like, it's, to me, it's where I should be, at least, like, because that's just how I know I can be there when I feel like that. In the past, my results, I've just always struggled with it, like, might be arm pump or things like that, where for some reason this weekend I was just really comfortable, just felt good all weekend. So I know that's where I can be. So I don't expect to be there all the time, because I didn't know what to expect, but like, I do know how I can ride and the dudes that I can beat and race against. So yeah, I was obviously really happy with that, especially for one daggy. It's not really a track that most Queenslanders sort of gel with. So yeah, I was happy to just get through there, obviously with some good points, and hopefully I can keep this sort of consistently in that range and build from this. So just need to keep it on two wheels and hopefully keep it going for the whole season.
Yeah, nice. And Benny, you just got a question for him here?
Yeah, so obviously you pretty much, I think, started last and came through in that first moto. So the fitness is probably pretty good. But what was the second moto like after after that first moto come back? How did you feel in the second moto?
Yeah, look, that first moto, like, I was really happy with that. As I said, I come from freaking last pretty much. I had a terrible start. And generally the national, my whole career so far, my first moto has been my struggle. I've normally struggled a lot in my first motos compared to my second race. But yeah, no, the first moto went really well. And then leading into the second race, I was sort of unsure. Obviously, I haven't had any of this sort of race experience for a long time. I was unsure. Obviously, it's round one, how my sort of fitness and how everything would go, because I knew I used a lot of energy, obviously, trying to catch my way back up. And the second moto, like, I was pretty happy with that as well. By the end, I was starting to feel it, obviously, but it was more like a lot of body fatigue. Like the second moto mainly, I started slowing down a bit by the end. Like I was struggling a lot with a lot of back pain. Like, I get a sore lower back when I ride. I don't know if it's just because obviously I'm so tall as well.
Handlebars might be too low for you, mate.
Yeah, it was mainly just, my lower back was really starting to hurt that second moto. I wasn't really necessarily that puffed sort of breathing wise, but the body fatigue was definitely kicking in. The hands were getting sore. And I sort of was dropping off a little bit, sort of 20 minutes in, but I found a little bit more energy to try and pick the pace back up and gain a position back on the last lap, which was good. But yeah, if I could gain that bit more sort of energy to push them that second moto, I would have been happy, because after Tanny passed me, we ended up reeling him back in again on the last lap, and I was a little bit devastated that it was a little bit too late by then. But we just missed out, because obviously I just want to put my name in front of any factory rider I can.
Why not, right? Like that's the goal, isn't it, at some point, to show them up in that sense. So I've got a question for you, but when you're talking about that sort of fatigue in that last 5-10 minutes of that second moto there being your flat spot, what's your fueling between the motos like in terms of your nutrition? Did you get enough in? Is that part of the problem? Were you a bit hard to eat after that first moto effort that you put in, or what was the plan for the food there, and did you get enough in?
Yeah, that might have been a little bit of the, like, it might have sort of caused that a little bit. I definitely feel like my nutrition over the whole weekend was pretty good. Mm-hmm. I did make sure to put a focus on that, because in the past that's let me down a little bit. So the whole weekend I felt like I was pretty good. I did go into the second race thinking that I probably should have tried to get some more in early on after the first moto, if that makes sense. Yep. To recover. But yeah, I don't know, it just didn't happen. And to be honest, we sit around all day and have such a quick turnaround between motos. By the time I got my bike washed and sorted it out and got some fresh gear on, and you have something quickly to eat, and next minute you're in the waiting area sort of thing. But yeah.
I gather that's hard too. Like it sounds like you're doing some of that work there in terms of washing and the bike prep before. Like obviously you're privateering it, so you've got not much support there in terms of people with you to get these things done. So you're not just sitting around relaxing either, I gather.
Yeah, there's always a lot to do. As I said, I'm privateer. My brother is my mechanic on race day, and he helps me out a lot on the day. But when it's like I run my own program this year, like I'm completely on my own. I sort out my own sponsors, and I arrange the whole week. I arrange everything on my own, so it's all up to me to work it all out. And there's always plenty to do and things to sort out before each moto, obviously, because there's a lot that goes into it. So there's not really a whole lot of sit down and kick the feet up.
The schedule doesn't allow that much either, but so that's a big problem. Yeah. Benny, you're in?
Yeah. So have we got, obviously that first round wasn't too bad. Canberra coming up. What, if anything, what do we need to improve on, if there is anything?
Oh, my starts for sure. I know if I can rip a good start, like I knew at Wonthaggi after, like just with how comfortable it was, if I could rip a top 5 start, I knew I could run there. Even if I did use a bit too much energy trying to run that pace, I think that's just what I need to do to drag myself to the next level. So hopefully by Canberra, I can improve my starts a lot. And I really want to put myself in a good position early on and just put my name in the mix with them guys for as long as I sort of can.
Now you've triggered a memory, Luke, and this might go poorly here, but you've triggered a memory of a conversation we were having in Cronulla, in the pits at Supercross, about start maps and start techniques and whatnot with you. I think it was your old man, wasn't it, that we were chatting with at the time? Yeah. And he was adamant that he wanted to put a start map in, and you were the opposite end of that spectrum. Where are we at with this conversation now? Are you got a map in there that you're using? What's the start issue for you that you need to improve specifically?
Nah, we're on exactly the same bike. Everything's the same from that day.
Okay.
It's a lot of it. I lose a lot of time. I think a lot of it, I need to work on my reaction myself. It's funny, like our local state races last week, I ripped 2 unreal starts, and then like we had Ferris and Tanny and that there, and I whole shot them the second moto by a mile. Like ripped 2 unreal starts, so I was like, yeah, sweet. Like maybe we've turned it around a bit.
Yeah.
And then I go to Wonthaggi and just just sit at the gate and wait for everyone, I suppose.
That's not what you're supposed to do, dude. Like, you're meant to go.
I know, but I think a lot of it's me. I know I lose all my time in the first 2-3 meters out of the gate, and as soon as you're just that little bit, if you're half a wheel behind you, that's it, sort of thing the whole way. So, I definitely need to work that out.
Yeah, sounds like you do. But Benny, sorry, you jumping in? Sorry.
Nah, at least we're not hitting the gate. And there are people out there that hit the gate, so we're not doing that.
That is true.
Now, Luke, with this, obviously you mentioned it a little bit there that you had a lot of time off last year in terms of you had that injury, unfortunately, at the end of that, literally the end of Cronulla night and Supercross there in the middle of the season. So you missed out the last 2 rounds. You didn't do it was sort of a semi-retirement there for motocross last year as well, that you sort of were out and not a part of it. This year coming in with the motocross and obviously trying to look to head to probably Supercross where you're a chance at this as well. Is there a different approach that you're looking at it, because you've had some good times and some bad times with injuries and whatnot? Is there a different approach this year for yourself, or are you doing everything exactly the same and just hoping for a different outcome? Is there anything you've tried to do differently?
Yeah, things are a little bit different this year. This is the first year. Obviously, I'm taking it serious and like working hard during the week and trying to make the most of this. Because as I said as well, like apart from a few sponsors that help me out, my whole program's entirely funded by myself.
Mm-hmm.
and those few sponsors. So for me to be paying it on my own as well, I need to be putting the effort in for myself and trying to get the most out of it. So this year, I've been lucky enough to be helped out by a sponsor, and I'm training with Ford Dale.
Nice.
Not full time, but just a couple of days. So I can just try and ride with some of them fast boys, which I've never done before, just because it's never been in the budget, you know. And just on race day, I think I always used to probably just not having. We've always got an expectation, but just try and relax and just go out there and freaking ride a dirt bike like we do every other day of the week, and just treat it like a club day really, and not worry whether it's Jed Beaton or Aaron Taney, or it doesn't matter who's behind you. We're all in the same race, you know. Just go out there, and I'm just trying to ride and make the most and just have fun, because I think that's, if you're not having fun, you're going backwards. And I think that in previous years, just with the way my programs worked, and just I think I just wore myself down into a bit of a hole with the whole pressure, having fun, that whole scenario. So I'm just trying to, and I tried to do the same thing in Supercross last year, and I was obviously going pretty well, but just trying to have an open mind, be relaxed, just have some fun out there and make the most of it, and see what we can, hopefully by the end of the season, see what comes of it.
I think that's a bit more of a wiser approach, like a man with a year or two extra on his experience, Benny.
Yeah, I'd say so. Talking about, obviously, you've just said, you know, you're privateer, you're funding everything, you're doing all the work. We've got an 8-round series, and obviously they're, you know, sort of spread apart. Are you happy with the spread? Are you happy with 8 rounds? Would you rather less, more? Obviously, you know, being a privateer, how do you find it?
Oh, if we could call the series now, I'd be pretty happy and save a whole lot of money, and I'd be in a pretty good spot. So
fair call.
Just the whole sorting the logistics, and especially at the moment, I tell you, you don't want to know how much fuel it costs me to get my baggy and back.
That's actually a good point, right? Like Queensland to Vic would have been a hell of a pricey trip for you.
Certainly, the bank account, certainly the whole one thuggy weekend, just for round one as well. We're just getting bikes ready, all that kind of stuff. It's a massive expense. For me, like as I said, I got some sponsors help me out, which I'm grateful for. But just there's a lot of things that go into it, and I think a lot of people don't really. A lot of, I suppose, fans and spectators and whatnot, a lot of people don't understand that at all. And not having a whinge about it, but for what we get in return is absolutely nothing, pretty much. Like, I don't know. If they were too close together, to be honest, I wouldn't be able to go. I suppose the more it's spread out, it gives me a chance to try and recoup some funds between each round. Because if they were, say, if Canberra was next weekend, I probably wouldn't be going, just because I need the time to recoup, try and save some money to fill the fan back up and go again. But 8 rounds is all right. But like, I personally don't think you can have any shorter, because especially for the guys fighting for championships, when it's a short series, you have one average race and your championship's over, sort of thing. But
it's funny, Benny, that question about the series, like we've asked it to a few different people now, and my opinion of it is actually changing with hearing Luke's point of view, Riley's last week, Corey's the week before. And again, you would have a different view if like you asked Jed Beaton about it. He's probably got a completely different view on it, because he'd be like, I would guess him, Kyle, probably going, let's do it, 8 in 10 weeks or something and get it done, and then have a gap and we can go overseas and do some races, and then, have a condensed Supercross season and stuff. But for everybody else, and because our Aussie side of things relies on privateers getting there, they need the space. They need the time to do like exactly what Luke said, get some funds built back up and get the bikes and stuff prepped again because they're doing it all themselves during the week. It's starting to make my views changing, right, Benny? Like it's a different thing.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And yeah, like we just said, the fuel prices are ridiculous at the moment. So that's probably one of the major costs for the weekend out of everything else.
I wonder how that's going to impact us. Luke, is this something that's going to maybe, if this stays this way, are you going to be able to maybe Gilman's on the circuit round 3, I think, isn't it? So are you going to be able to afford that one when it comes around? Like just if the fuel prices stay where they are at?
To be honest, I haven't even thought about it. All I cared about was getting to Wonthaggi, getting myself home, getting my van home, and then look at the depression in the bank account and try to recoup it for Canberra.
You don't have a manual van, do you? You weren't knocking into neutral down hills trying to save some dollars, were you?
Trust me, she's manual, and we're doing every bit we can to save every dollar because, I don't know, it's hard. And as you if I'd love to do 8 rounds in 10 weeks or something like that and just get it done with. Then you get a Supercross pre-season, but for privateers, it's never going to work.
No, that's what we've got to look at.
I don't know if the series helped out more, where we could get something in return for our positions, where it actually helped us get to the next round. It would obviously make things a lot easier. But I just come 7th, and I think I got about $150.
Yeah, and entry was what? It's like $200-300.
360.
Yeah. So I always laugh at these, and I shouldn't say laugh, but it's like a not comedic relief. It's just like a forced response. But you look at these payouts that we have in Australian stuffs at times, and the payout doesn't even cover the entry fee. If you're going to give a payout to somebody for whatever place it is, that bottom run should start at cover the entry fee. If you're going to pay back to 10th, well, 10th should cover the entry fee and go up from there, right? But we don't even do that. You haven't even got enough to probably fill the car to go home with that amount, right?
Yeah, 100%. If I went out there and beat Jed Beaton at Wonthaggi, that's not even half of my fuel bill to get the van there. The prize money I get. And obviously, because I'm privateer, I don't get any bonuses or anything like that. But what we get in return, it's next to nothing. It doesn't help at all. And even if you're coming 7th in America, I can guarantee you're earning a fair bit of money. It's tough, but I don't know what can we do about it. Just got to pull our finger out and get a factory right, I suppose.
Well, yeah, that would help, right? But anyway, we'll move on from that part of the topic. Of the series, of the 8 rounds, favorite track, mate? Is there one you're looking forward to?
Yeah, probably Toowoomba and Conondale. I love racing Toowoomba. Toowoomba's always a good track. And I'm just keen. I've never done a national at Conondale. We never really get to ride Conondale a whole lot. I remember I used to go to Conondale when I was a kid and every year and watch the nationals there, and it was always unreal. So I am keen for that one for sure.
Yeah, no, it's funny that the Queenslander Benny said that he favoured the 2 Queensland tracks coming up.
The fuel bill will favour that as well. So maybe you can't blame him for that.
No.
Yeah, Conondale good. It's only an hour up the road.
Yeah.
So obviously with the weekend's result now, what's your expectations for the rest of the series? Where do you think you can get to?
If I can, realistically, every weekend should definitely be inside the top 10. There's obviously, as just shown on the weekend, there's no reason why I can't be. For me, it's just a matter of figuring out or trying to work out why I felt so good at Wonthaggi, and keep my body feeling that way. And I have no doubt at all once I can rip a good start, I have no doubt at all I can be in position for running for top 5s. So And if I could pull a top 5 or something like that, I'd be stoked. But at this stage, if I can just, for me, it's more of a building year as well. If I could consistently be, 5th to 8th sort of thing, I'd be stoked with that. If I could do that race after race, round after round, for the majority of the series, I'd be more than happy with that for sure. But I do definitely hope and expect myself to be inside the top 10. But at the same time, it's a stacked class, and everyone's going to have their strengths and weaknesses at every track. And if I could, I just got to focus on myself and keep everything feeling good. And I know I can do it. So
I think those expectations are pretty reasonable, right, Bernie?
Yeah, I think so. Especially, like towards the end of the Supercross, well, the 3 rounds that you did were, I think you probably surprised yourself. And then with this weekend's result, it's probably surprised you as well. So there's probably a big, growing of confidence there as well.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. After Supercross, especially Redcliffe, I did gain a lot of confidence, obviously, but then, didn't last too long because I was hurt. And then now, since Monthagi, I have certainly gained a lot of confidence, especially because I do train with a few of them factory riders during the week, and I can tell you what, I ain't anywhere near that close to them during the week. So to put my name in front of them, I'm pretty happy with. But just got to keep the ball rolling and keep myself fit and healthy, and I think everything will be good.
This is where you can walk into training during the week and just point to the scoreboard, right? Like, and go, hey, look what that one says up there, right? Oh, whose name's that? Right? Hold yourself high, right?
Yes, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, my biggest focus is keeping myself backing it, but basically trying to back it up. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's the trick, right? One trick pony. You can't get a result once and then never back it up. So if you can do what you're saying and hold it, get to top 5 and stay top 10 consistently across the series, I think it's a pretty good return to motocross, and that will set you up really nicely in terms of fitness and confidence and all that sort of stuff ahead of the Supercross later in the year, which I know you're probably looking forward to the most. So, look, it's all up. You just got to keep it on 2 wheels, right?
Yeah, 100% for sure. As I said, a big building year for me. And I feel like once I do get a few races under my belt of motocross again, I feel like I'll only improve as well. Obviously, I did know motocross racing at all last year, basically. So it will take a few for me, I think, to still keep improving. But,
Oh, awesome. Well, Benny, you got anything else for Luke before we let him go?
Yeah, probably just a quick one with going back to Supercross last year with the few good results that you did have. Did you have any sort of, maybe smaller name sponsors or anyone like that starting to maybe message you and ask, sort of have chats about sponsoring you with the results that you were getting, or was it still pretty much on you?
Look, industry-wise, nothing really, which I was a little bit disappointed about. Like after Supercross, I was like, yep. Like as soon as I hit myself, I knew. I'm like, I'm doing motocross next year. I was trying to work everything out early. So I was reaching out to as many industry people as I could to try and put a program together, like parts, product, all that sort of thing. And to be honest, I got bugger all from it. Everyone had the same response of, oh, we're cutting our budgets back. Well, it's so good to see you racing, but we're cutting our budgets back, blah, 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 which I was a little bit disappointed about. But so I just sort of, to be honest, I've given up. I don't even bother trying with industry people anymore at the moment. Like I'm still obviously working my program this year, just trying to get what I can to get to each round. But so I sort of gave up on industry people, and all my main sponsors this year have nothing to do with motocross or supercross.
It's not a bad thing,
I reached out to outside companies and just through people I know, and things like that, just to try and gain some funds to help financially, and then I just go to the local store and buy the product that I need. Because really no one in the industry was really interested, to be honest.
Hey, look, Benny, he just sounds like he needs a sugar daddy. You open for that position, or?
Nah, I think you might have to find someone a bit closer to him.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, my bad.
I did actually, in saying that, one thing I did miss, I did have, I think it was after Redcliffe. I was supposed to organise a meeting with Matt Perry from Yamaha.
Mm-hmm.
I was meant to meet up with him in Melbourne, Supercross.
But your injury stopped that one, I gather.
He reached out to me and just said, "Like, love to meet you. We need to catch up for a meeting in Melbourne, blah, 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 blah." And then I crashed in the last lap of Sydney, so that never happened. But, yeah, apart from that.
Well, look, when you get to the Appen round, I would suggest that you maybe organise the week before to have a chat, reach out to him again and have a chat to him, because I'm sure that one is the closest round for him, proximity to their warehouse there in Wetherill Park for Appen. So, yeah, if he's going to get to one and see you, that'd probably be a good chance for you to do it. And maybe you can work something out for Supercross this year, because, yeah, maybe that's on the cards.
Yeah, for sure. I've been thinking about that, especially at the moment. I'm trying to sorting out some new bikes, and because my practice bike is not looking real flash at the moment. And yeah, so I've definitely been thinking about reaching back out and seeing what I can do, because, yeah, obviously we need the support.
Yeah, look, if you keep putting the results in, you're going to be hard to say no to. So, look, you keep putting in the work. But yeah, like I said, that the week or so before Appen round, if you haven't already, I'd follow that contact up again and just see what you can work out, because he will be not far from Appen come that round. So, yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Well, Luke, thank you for making some time for us tonight. Well done on the results on the weekend. We can't wait to see what you do for the rest of the series. Good luck in Canberra. If you need anything from us, we're always happy to have you on the show, and we'll probably check in with you again later in the year, man.
No, awesome. Thanks, heaps. Appreciate you having me on.
All good, mate. We'll talk to you soon.
Good luck, mate. See ya.
See ya.
All right, that's Luke Zielinski, the number 16 from the MX1 class. 6'8" on the weekend was his moto scores. The first privateer. He's always one of the first privateers in the results list, Benny. And like we said, he was our surprise of the weekend for that MX1 class. So well done, Luke Zielinski. All right, let's jump back into our chat that we're going. We just got to MX3 class in terms of the results from Montague. Obviously, we had Jack Devson taking the overall. We're talking surprises. Now, I mentioned this name last week as a surprise, and when I heard some of the comments on the coverage, I realised why he wasn't a part of the state titles. We don't always get to see or hear from some of these riders. They're in different states or they're in different areas, maybe not telling anybody about what's going on, but Seth Thomas was my surprise of the weekend. The kid is one of the youngest in the MX3 class. We talked about that last week, on the show, in terms of the preview that we did. The kid's really light, but he can start like anybody else. But that weight differential, I think, helped him out a fair bit. Got some good starts on the weekend, ran well inside the top 10 for a lot of this. Seth Thomas is someone to keep your eye on. I think I said last week, maybe not to win this year, but man, he's going to get some good experience if he stays on track all season, and he's going to be a threat here in this MX3 class for the next year or 4. I think that's about how many he's going to be able to fit in here. So,
yeah, once he gets used to the class and gets used to how it goes, and with his speed, he'll definitely be a force to be reckoned with. But really good racing in the MX3 class. I think both motos seem to first moto. Sort of, the second, third, fourth were, close-ish, but really good racing all round.
Yeah, no, pretty impressed. I didn't get to see. Obviously, I was out. We talked about it at the start, and if you didn't hear it because we have shitty technical problems, it's on the audio side of things for the podcast. If you go on your podcast player, I was out for the 8 hour at Macleay Valley all weekend, so I didn't have coverage. I was riding myself, so I didn't get to see the live stuff on Facebook during the morning session of the program. So I didn't get to see like Moto ones and stuff. I only saw highlights, which we'll talk about later in the show. But yeah, look, there just wasn't enough of that shown for my liking, in terms of those MX3 and even the women's races. They were just, really short highlights on the coverage that I got to saw. And obviously I was trying to flick through some of this as quick as possible today and yesterday. But yeah, I want to see more of those guys. Those are the ones that are in there fighting for it like their life depends on it, right?
Yeah, and I missed the second moto of the MX3, the start of it anyway. But yeah, I think they had one of the women's races on Saturday, and there's a lot of people complaining it wasn't on TV. See, it's not ideal, with the capabilities we have now. Everything should be there for us to be able to watch.
I will say, like, given my involvement with Motorcycle New South Wales and the state title coverage via their YouTube stream, once you've got the equipment going there, yeah, you're paying for a few extra hours of like the manual labor of the guy holding the camera on the scaffold down in the corner 5 or whatever of the track and the 2 or 3 others. But it's there, right? Like if you've got guys on track for a national event, people want to see every aspect of it. Every time somebody's on track, they want to see it. So they should be, in my opinion, broadcasting it from whatever time they got riders on track on Saturday to whatever time it finishes on Sunday, coverage running, right? Whether it's through Facebook or the YouTube. There's ways to monetize the YouTube if you've got enough followers and enough stream hours and stuff. They would make money off it that would help cover those costs. If they need to put a different, a shadow crew of commentators in to do those other sections of the program that aren't the ones that are on the main stuff on Stan Sport and SBS as such, like when Lee Hogan and Denny Ham are doing, Moto 1s and 2s for MX1 and 2 and whatnot, just bring in a different crew for the qualifying stuff to keep those guys fresh and change the broadcast and get different voices involved. Do that stuff. People will be a part of it. People want to see it. They need to put it out there, right?
Yeah, I mean, you only got to, this is going to Supercross, but you only got to look around the outside of Marvel when qualifying and practice and everything is on that Saturday morning. The fences, right? Yeah, people want to see it. The gates are lined because you can see through to the stadium, and there's just people hanging off the fences trying to see in. Even at Cronulla last year, there was a footpath behind the track.
Yeah,
the whole footpath and the fence were lined. People want to see it.
Yeah, and look, hopefully that's something that maybe they need to think about if they haven't already. I'm sure they've talked about it for Supercross this year, is like having like a race day live like the AMA does and having a different set of broadcasters in for it. Maybe I can throw my name in for the resumes and throw it in there. But yeah, look, people would watch it. People would subscribe to it, right? Like I think it's something that our sport needs. We have such a distance of the country that you can't always be there in person because of distance and now because of expense with fuel. They're going to want to see streaming. People will pay for streaming. So if they haven't already thought of it, I think Australian Supercross and AME Group need to look into this for 2026 ASAP, right?
Yeah, I could see you sitting beside AC or Brayton and doing something like that if they got them back over here.
Well, look, I wouldn't say no to it, and we'd have to get you another photo with them or something, mate. We got AC last time. I will have to get you another one if we do that. But yeah, look, I don't see why something like that can't be done. And yeah, I would happily be a part of it. One, because I just love to, but two, it's something that I'm trying to do, right? I wouldn't be doing this state title coverage if I didn't think that was something that I could be a part of. So yeah, they just need to, whether I'm included or not, ignore that part. It just needs to be available to our fans is the main part of this story, right? So anyway, that part's a bit disappointing. Now, and on that, because of that, the women's side of things, I don't have massive comments here because my surprise of the event isn't really anything other than just looking at the results and going, oh yeah, Lala won. That's not really a surprise. They did have a really good battle there, and I got a few comments sent my way of people that did see some of those highlights and video clips that were put around on socials, and they had a cool little battle, mainly because Lala stalled, I think it was, and Charlie caught back up, and they had a bit of a nice little tussle there. So that was cool. But the disappointment part of it is the part that Charlie didn't end up winning, and it was more a disappointment in Honda Australia and the fact that they supposedly didn't connect the fuel line correctly, and it's dropped off and caused a DNF for her. And lucky they didn't burn a bike down, basically. If they're pouring fuel on a hot engine, that's not a good sign. But yeah, a bit of a disappointment there for Honda. Have you got anything different, Benny? Because we didn't get to see heaps of it, right?
Yeah, I didn't say a great deal. Honda very vocal and apologetic over it
Very
on
much
their
so,
socials and whatnot. Which I guess that's that comes from Uribe. He gets pretty disappointed when something like that happens.
He wears his heart on his sleeve, right?
Yeah, the amount of time and money that he puts into it, and something simple like that happens, wouldn't be happy. But yeah, not a great deal. Like we said, the Saturday race didn't get televised. A lot of people weren't happy about that. And that's probably not just here. We've got the girls from America riding, and the people in America probably wanted to see them race. In the Supercross coverage, they get the women's races on, every week nearly, just to, put it out there, make them be seen, put the calendar up. And yeah, we probably really should have had something on the Saturday.
Well, I think what you're seeing there too, like in the American side of things, there is a shift to having them on more of a, they're probably never going to get to a parity level of like coverage and airtime and all that sort of stuff with the guys, but they are trying to move that level closer, right? And I think this year with the outdoor series, when the women's championship kicks off, you're going to see a big step and a big push. You're already hearing about all the women's stuff. Like they talked about that Oceania Cup and Wonthaggi on the AMA broadcast. I saw it, right? Like for this past round in Birmingham. So they're obviously aware. They're pushing it themselves. They've had the girls in press day at A1. They've had them on the coverage almost every round as part of an interview somewhere in the coverage, whether it's Race Day Live or the night program. So they're pushing it. I don't know why we aren't in a similar sense, at least giving them a full moto in the broadcast or both motos on the Sunday as a part of the live stream at some point on Facebook, YouTube, whatever. I'm sure the girls are disappointed that they're not getting it, but maybe at some point they're just happy that they're getting something. I don't know. I think people want to see it. So it does have some its own unique qualities of racing that you can enjoy. They might not be going absolutely as fast and as impressive as a Jed Beaton or a Kyle Webster, but their race has technical ability in a different sense, and it's still exciting. It's still two dirt bikes going at it and two people going at it for a win in a competitive national championship, or in this case, an international event, right, with the Oceania Cup.
Yeah, and I mean, you watch the 65s, the 85s, it's all the same. There's bikes on track and there's close racing.
It's exciting.
We all enjoy it. And if you're a diehard fan, yeah, you want to see it.
No, definitely. So look, that's our biggest disappointment of it, is the fact that they didn't have them included as much as we potentially would have liked. So anyway, that's our Wonthaggi coverage for round one. Let's switch gears. We're just going to briefly touch into SMX and that Supercross round in Birmingham. We have to do this because the Aussie boy, Hunter Lawrence, extended his points lead, got a win. He did something that he hasn't yet done. He got a whole shot and led from start to finish, and he did it in dominating fashion. Yes, Ken Roxon had a solid ride as well and was within 3-4 seconds, whatever the end result was there. But from there back, it was 30 seconds plus back to Eli Tomac in third. And that was the nearest competitor in the championship. It still is the nearest competitor in the championship, but he put on a hurt in terms of the confidence for Eli Tomac, I'm sure.
Yeah, and the night that Tomac had's got to hurt even more.
Having
to go to the LCQ, and just that alone for a factory rider is not great. But yeah, how good to see Hunter go, start to finish. Not really a problem. Anything it's, it takes you back to, and it's been a while since Jet's actually had a race like that in Supercross, but it sort of just takes you back to being able to enjoy the whole race, but knowing that he's out front, there's a massive gap, and you can just calmly watch behind what's going on behind, knowing that he's out in front, he's in the flow, and he's pretty much got it locked into the end.
You mentioned Jet in there. My wife Jen, when we were watching the coverage, we're sort of 3/4 of the way through the race, and we realized the gap that he had on Tomac and stuff. And she's like, if you put 18s on that plate, on that bike, and on the jersey, you wouldn't be able to tell that it wasn't Jet right now. The way that Hunter is riding and controlling the event, and just the presence that he's got this season, later into the season, they're one and the same. Like, and I think that comment that was said maybe end of last year between the two of them about how if one of them's down injured, the other one's going to win. Like, it's going to be a Lawrence that gets the title. It's ringing really true right now in terms of how their approach is. And like, Jet might be better when the two of them are on track, but Hunter is more than capable of giving everyone else a run like he's doing right now. So kudos to Hunter right now. He's very, very impressive.
Yeah, and I mean, like I sort of said at the start of the year, you see, we've seen him the last few years in the SMX take it to Jet. He missed out. I think they were equal on points and missed out by a win or something like that. It's not really a surprise, but now that it's, he got that first win out of the way, he's just on this run now. Daytona would have been awesome for him to get now, the way that this has panned out. But yeah, hopefully he keeps going.
Definitely. So that is he's now 9 points up in the championship. So not a massive buffer, but it's a buffer. We are round 11 this weekend of 17. So what is that? 6, 7 to go, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, 7 to go. Just doing my math here on my hands and toes. I didn't have to take my socks off this time. It's okay. But yeah, so he's still got a lot of racing to go. There's plenty that can happen, but he's in a good position. Won the last 3 of 4 rounds. He got second in the other one. That was Daytona. So a little run going on here for Hunter as well. Let's see if he can take it a bit further at Detroit this weekend, and see how that goes. In the 250 side of things, Hayden Deegan had an impressive ride, but impressive rides have to be also following the rules, it seems, which should be a given. Penalised, win taken off him, which is something that they haven't done for quite some time because they changed rules around, jumping on red cross flags and just getting points docked and not wins taken off. But this one obviously still fitted underneath the rule of losing a position, not just a points dock. So that was interesting. But I don't know, watching the video, it's not that big of an issue for me. The way that they had the white markers set up is more of the issue for me. They sort of opened themselves up to something like this happening. And then they've also opened themselves up because they haven't marked it completely all the way through that section to actually then give themselves the problematic look from the fans that they've done a shoddy rule enforcement. So I don't really mind either way. They had a rule that they needed to enforce, but the rider's point of view and the way it was set up, I'm sort of with him as well. So I'm not against Deegan and saying he's a dirty rider or he cheated. I'm not with the AMA and saying that they suck, but there's issues on both sides of this fence for me. What do you see, Benny?
If you're taking away that win from Deegan, then Joe gets his win from Pierce Brown. Simple as that.
I'm more with that one. Like, Joe should have that win. There is no way that whole red flag or red cross situation, red flashing light was a joke. This one, not so much, but I don't think either should have had them taken off. I think they both were just point stocking.
Yeah, they can't stick to their rules. Like this, like you said, this one wasn't really that bad. I mean, we had them here, was it 2023, I think, when World Supercross and AusX were together. And I'm pretty sure our riders hit them plenty of times and nothing happened. And it was a split lane. But yeah, and then this goes and happens. I'm not. Yeah, I don't know how I feel. I think it's if you want to take one, you take the other.
The other part of this too is when the fans jump up and down about a rule that wasn't enforced, and then they reference something from a couple of years back, and they go, "Oh, but such and such did this and nothing happened." Well, yes, okay, that was the case then. Rules have changed since then, and they are being enforced differently since then. So you can't compare something that somebody did in 2017, 2020, even 2024 or 5, because the rule book changes every year. So you can reference it and say that happened, but you can't say this rule should be the same because of that did happen. So people need to actually I can't believe I'm going to say this, but they need to have some common sense and just, actually understand that rules are updated. I know that common sense doesn't exist anymore, but that's why I just can't believe that I said that. But anyway, here we are.
Yeah. And where are you at with the Evan Ferry points and docking after we see Mr. Freeze week in, week out, do what he's best known for?
I'm going to get some heat for a couple of things here. If you watch back that Vince Freeze and Eli Tomac situation, and we didn't do a podcast on that topic last week because we did our AusPro preview show. But if you watch back that, yes, Vince is going from middle to outside, not from the very inside to the very outside, as was commented by Eli Tomac. But if you watch Eli Tomac's line closely, he actually goes from the very edge and actually is jumping back towards the center as Vince is going outwards. So there's actually some blame both ways. Yes, Vince probably just shouldn't have been there because the blue flag was flying before that section. So that part. But in the moment of the ride through that rhythm lane, they are both going towards each other. So the Evan Ferry situation. Well, they've set a pretty big example now that if you're going to have an attack for the last spot in the LCQ, you're basically not allowed to. So it's taken away some of the entertainment aspect, which, keep in mind, this was an AMA ruling, not a Feld ruling. Feld being the promoter will probably show that takeout on all the TV coverage for the next month. But AMA doesn't want that sort of riding. So here we are. But there was some intention there from Ferry because you could see him go for that move from the landing of the jump before. But also he actually got halfway in front of the rider. So his bike was in front as he made that contact from the inside block pass. So I don't think it was that bad.
Yeah, there's just standards. It's if you're going to dock one, the other one,
they've got to get way more consistent.
We've seen how many of those LCQ takeouts before, and nothing's really happened. Not unless it's A-Ray and someone punching on that they've taken each other out. Fair enough. Then there's penalties there. But when we're just taking someone out like that, it's it's racing. We've seen it plenty of times, and nothing's happened. Now we're I don't know.
Again, you just walked right into my trap, but go back. Those rules have changed this year since the last enforcement. So you can't reference those previous ones because they're under a different rule system. But in saying that, I do think the penalty that Evan Ferry got was way harsh. If I remember correctly from reading the update, it was 5 championship points that he was docked and 2 license points as well, and maybe even a fine. So he got the book thrown at him pretty good. And maybe that was because it was like this is your first offense. We don't want you ever doing that again situation. So we're going to make you remember this one. I don't know. But there's no consistency in the rule enforcement, I think, is the problem in the AMA.
Yeah. They need to be consistent.
Yeah, definitely. SMX next. Pretty disappointed. Our Aussie man, Caden Manier, was on the line again after having that issue with I think he was on a concussion protocol at the previous round when he had that knockdown. That was maybe the second one. I can't remember, I'm missing one here. But Caden was back, but unfortunately his teammate decided to run into the rear of Caden going into turn 1, and they both went down, and that was pretty much all they did. So that really sucked. But it was great to see Ryder Malinowski back on track, had a good ride, got himself on the podium after that big injury of him landing on the other rider and then both of them going explosion at Anaheim 1. So it was good to see Malinowski back. It was nice to see Vincent Way not crash and actually maybe potentially fulfill some of his potential that he's got.
Yeah, I think he did pretty well at the last one. And I think was it the second last or the last lap, crashed into whoops and went flying.
Yes.
So for him to actually put it together and get a win is good to see.
You kind of been watching him in the last 2 years, I want to say, and been like, he's going to get there. He's going to get there. Oh, wait, he blew himself apart again. He just seems to keep crashing, but the crashes, interestingly for me looking at it, have been getting further into the race before they've come on. So whether that's partly he's developing, he's getting stronger, he's, growth and everything because he's in that sort of teenage years that we talked about with some of the other riders in the past, whether all that stuff is developing and he was getting closer to making a full main event in one piece, and finally we see it, and he was clearly fast enough from the get-go to have it done. So, yeah, well done, Vincent Way. Maybe there's more of that in the near future, and maybe he is going to outdo his old man's results in terms of their vaults by the end of their careers. We'll have to see. We're pretty early days yet, but Vincent's looking pretty good.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they pair up at the end of it.
Be curious. If he's got more than one win, he outdoes Nick. So anyway, we'll see how that goes. All right, let's move on. We're not going to do emergency department tonight. We're going to leave that out, but we're going to do a Dave's Diatribe instead. So let me see. Oh, I didn't press the buttons. I didn't get the setup. I stuffed up. We're having a good tech night, but anyway, I can't hit my Dave's Diatribe intro for this week. But anyway, let's do it, Benny. SBS on demand and the highlights on YouTube are the targets this week. Now, this was brought up by one of our loyal listeners in the group chat. He actually came and messaged me privately as well. He sent me some links about the highlights, particularly on YouTube. And I'm just going to say, wow, what an absolute shit show of an effort. I don't know if you saw it, Benny, the MX1 highlights from the round one at Wonthaggi. The highlights, were 22 minutes long for a highlights package. That's excessive for a highlights package. The other problem with the highlights package and the part where it's just the shit show, at about the 10 and a half minute mark after Moto 1, it's like the video editor just forgot to put in the second Moto highlights because the screen goes black for 10 and a half minutes. There's no audio. There's no visual. It's just a black screen for 10 and a half minutes. I kept wondering if they just forgot to join the two clips together in the video editing software, and I kept sort of moving the timeline along to see if it would finally kick back in or if it was a load speed thing. No, there's nothing there. So I don't know who you are. I'm sorry for pointing it out. Kind of not sorry. But that's not a very good effort at all. That is absolute crap. I couldn't believe
I didn't
Benny.
see it. I didn't see it, so I can't.
I'll send you the link later. I'll send you the link. I don't know if they've taken that one down yet. Maybe they have realized the errors in their way by now, but that was not it, right? So yeah, that was the YouTube highlight. So thanks to our listener for sending that to me. The SBS on demand. Benny, when you watch anything on a streaming service these days, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Netflix, Stan, whatever 101 different platforms there are now, when you watch something and you stop partway through because you just need to pause it and go and do another job because these are 2.5, 3 hours, whatever the length of these recordings are, you generally can't sit and watch all of it in one go. So I pause it. I go away, I'm doing my other thing, I come back in. You expect that streaming service to remember the position you're at. When you press play, you're good to go. Not SBS. You go away. When you reopen it, it starts from the very beginning. And now this isn't one of those services where there's no ads because you're paying for it. This is a free, just drop your email in and you're signed up for an account. So when you hit try to scroll forward to where you want to get your pick up back where you were at, you've got to watch all those bloody ads again and you can't skip them. So 4 times today, I had to start that thing through and watch the same shit ads about, no offense, but Ernie Dingo's Adventures Australia and bloody whatever the other one was that I was switching off for. I couldn't believe it. That this is ridiculous. It's absolutely driving me nuts. I don't want to do this again.
Yeah, some have that and some don't. I watched ProMX on Stan Sport. So
is that better? Did it do it better?
I think it's a clearer picture because I watched it on SBS.
Sport then. Stuff SBS.
I watched it on SBS last year, and I think Stan was clearer. Can't say that I paused it though, but yes, I think I paused something the other day and just walked away for 10 minutes and went to hit play, and it just went straight to the end of the show, and then I had to restart the whole thing. Like there's some that do and some that don't, but it's very annoying when it doesn't.
Yeah, it's like the it's like the engineer that decides the oil filter to be underneath a chassis rail that you can't put a tool on. You know they've never worked on the thing in their life. These SBS guys must have never watched their own platform before because they would realize how annoying it is if they've actually used it themselves. So anyway,
it's funny how many times I hear that every day. Why is this oil filter under there?
Well, yeah, you're in that right game to hear that sort of stuff. Like, I would love to meet some of these engineers one day and just like stick their head in the engine bay or into the motor of the bike and go, why is this here? You can't put this tool on this bolt to get the damn thing undone. Well done, genius sort of situation. But anyway, so that's my gripes this week. That's the diatribe. SBS needs to be better. The highlights on YouTube need to be much better because that was terrible. But maybe they'll have it worked out by the time round 2 rolls around in a month's time. We will see. All right. Product inspection time. We got to talk a little bit WR250 because we took that stock bike and did an 8-hour on it. And the damn thing was impressive, Benny.
And you come back looking like 50 Cent.
I come back looking like 50 Cent. Here we go. Bling, bling, bling. So all we changed on this WR, I put Starcross 6 Michelin tires on it, front and rear. I put the Duramoose in the front and rear so I couldn't get a flat because there's no point going a race, particularly an 8-hour, and trying to ride around rocks or any issues with flats. You don't want to be any part of that. So Duramoose is necessary in my eyes. We changed the grips and the bars just so I was comfortable because I didn't like the bar bend and I didn't like the grips. I put a different clutch lever on it. Again, the clutch lever was fatter than my finger and I couldn't get it around it, so I had to make a change there. And then I changed the map and an air filter. I put the funnel web filter in it. This bike was stock as a rock outside of those couple of things, and I'm not a 4-stroke guy, Benny, but I like the 4-stroke.
So we're selling the Sherco again now?
Well, the Sherco... It might have a full sale sign on it shortly. If anyone's interested in a 2023 Sherco 300 2-stroke, might be available. If you wanted to DM me a price, we can have a chat, right? But yes, no, this bike, the only thing I could pick on it about, 2 things. One, I think when it hits the mid valve in the middle of a corner, it decides that that's as far as it's going and it decides to understeer straight ahead. So that's something I got to work on setting wise. And the other thing is when I want a bit of power to blip it, to pop it over a log, it doesn't pop quite the same as the 300 2-stroke. But that might be me not being a 4-stroke guy and not understanding that technique just yet. So I'm going to reserve judgment on that aspect for a couple more weeks. But I'm pretty impressed with it. The funny part in the story for the weekend was that Jen's bike actually broke a couple of spokes on one of the laps. She got a stray stick caught in the wheel and it broke a couple of spokes. So we didn't want to risk the wheel. So she had to ride the Yamaha as well, blind, never ridden it before, got on it. And she actually came back in smiling and said that she thought it was better than her bike. And I was like, well, that's an impressive wrap. So
what's Jen got?
Jen's got his Gas 350. So,
yeah, okay.
And she was even impressed with the fact that it was 100 cc's less in the WR250 and it was just as fine pulling along. So motor's pretty strong. I will say it probably needs to breathe a bit better. I think a pipe is something we would do. I think maybe airbox differences or cage differences might be in the cards to give it some more breath of fresh air. But I'm pretty impressed with it. And like we said, the 50 cent bling bling is proof that we were going pretty fast. So pretty happy with it. All right.
So do you think that you might take it to Hatter maybe?
No. That ship is sailed. Somebody brought it up on the weekend. I can't remember who. Somebody brought up Hatter and about going, and I just turned and walked away. I'm out. I'm done. My spleen left me in Mildura. I'm not going back to Mildura. Left in the.
At least maybe have to go and watch.
No.
Just get rid of.
No. I don't need to watch. No, I'm good. I did it. How many times did I do it in the end? I think I did it 4 or 5 times, something like that. And yeah, I'm done. That crash just I'm out.
Same as the Essendon airfield.
Yeah. Every time we drive to Marvel Stadium and we go past that damn airfield field, Jen points out, that's the airfield you got the private air ambulance into. And your Stark is in the plane with 2 female pilots. And I'm like, yeah, what's your point?
Yeah, she'd yell at you any other time that happened.
Well, she was in the thing with us. So, it's a shame I just was actually pretty much unconscious on pain meds at that point. And I wasn't actually really thinking anywhere. Anyway, yes, thanks for bringing up those lovely memories of my efforts last time at Hatter. All right, let's talk about racing this weekend. There's no Australian Pro Motocross, as we were talking about. It's a month to Canberra. But we've got the AMA Supercross this weekend, obviously round 11, Detroit. You're watching it via that Super Motocross video pass for all us international watchers. Now, Benny, I believe the times are still the same. 5 a.m. for race day live and 11 a.m. for the night show, if I'm not mistaken, because it's pretty much consistent with Supercross these days that it is the same time.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take your word for it because I haven't quite got to looking at the schedule yet.
No, that's all right. But the only way to watch it is with that race day live, that Super Motocross video pass. The other thing you're going to watch this week is the live stream. You're going to hear a lot of my voice this week because we're doing round 2 at Lakes for New South Wales Motocross state titles. That'll be streamed from about 8:30 Saturday and Sunday morning till the racing concludes, which will be about 4:30 both days. So if you want to watch some state title action, there's plenty of racing from Lakes to be on the YouTube stream for Motorcycle New South Wales, so check that out as well. Weather-wise for Detroit, lucky it's a roof, Benny. It is -3 to 7 degrees Celsius in Detroit this weekend and partly cloudy, so that could mean it's snowing at some point.
Beautiful weather.
Not really.
I've never been to the snow, but we'll just say beautiful weather.
Look, there's one thing that's on my bucket list is to be in a city like New York or Detroit or Chicago in the middle of a snowstorm, because I think it's one thing to go to a snowfield and actually be somewhere that's meant to snow. But to be in a city, I think would be kind of cool to see it, even if it's just for a couple of days. But yeah, it's not going to be pleasant. You're going to need a jacket and a beanie. We've got our AlwaysMoto beanies if you need one. But Postage might not get there in time for Detroit if you're purchasing it. But anyway, yeah, you're going to need a lot of clothes to rug up. Now, just out of curiosity, I don't know if you've noticed the chat after our little Hatter comments. Thank you, sir. Roost Thrower has asked if I do Fink. I'm out on Fink, mate. If I'm out on Hatter, I'm out on Fink. There's no way I'm going to Fink. I thought about it once and then I decided that was a dumb idea then. And that was before my crash. So anyway, and he does think that Lakes was awesome in the 80s and 90s. I can't say I'm old enough to remember it. So
I'd love to do Fink. Never been to watch. I'd love to watch it. I'd love to do it as well. I'll never do it, but I'd love to do it.
Yeah, look, I think I'd like to watch it just once to see them go past, but I know how fast they're going to go past, and then I don't know if I want to see it at the same time. So I don't know. I'm kind of out on the high speeds on a motorcycle, at least. In a car, different because you got a roll cage and a bit of metal protecting you. When you fly off a motorcycle and it's just you in the fresh air, it leaves you spleenless.
Yes.
All right, upcoming events.
It's probably just as fun in a car. I'll give you that. It's
probably is. Just
as fun.
So anyway, upcoming events. Obviously, we just mentioned AMA Detroit this weekend. State titles at Lakes this weekend as well, 28th, 29th. Round 3 of the MXGP series is this week in Switzerland. So that's on Sunday. So you'll get those highlights on Monday morning if you're watching it. You go and check out their YouTube channel, the MXGP YouTube channel. I watch those most Mondays. They have a good highlights package. It's actually only 10 minutes long and it covers all 4 motos in one session, Benny. And they don't have any black sections.
That's good. Yeah. Maybe someone needs to take a leaf out of that book.
Surprisingly, the person who pointed out the issue to me, their listener, actually suggested they go and watch that before this happened, and they supposedly did, but they still made these errors. So here we are. Australian Enduro Championship is going to kick off after Easter. We're going to be it's set round 3 and 4. I shouldn't say kick off. It's going to be round 3 and 4 in Dungog on April 11 and 12. Same weekend as the second round of the Queensland State titles at Rockhampton. Same weekend is Vic titles at Ballarat. Same weekend is Kosciuszko Killer for the hard enduro. And then AusProMX's next round is Canberra on the 18th and 19th of April. So, like I said, we've got basically a month until we get back to the next round of the AusProMX. So quite the gap for the guys there. So you'll see some of them at that back Vic round. You'll see some of it at that Sunny State round for Rockhampton. So they'll be out doing those events, trying to get some gate drops in ahead of that next round as we go. All right, Benny, we're at that point of the show where it's almost done. You got any final comments, final thoughts? You've had a, good run here with the Hadar stuff. Is there anything else?
For those people in our group chat that normally I'm pretty vocal, we all pretty much talk on race day. I've got the first round of the ARB Off-Road Championship this weekend, so I won't actually be probably watching the race live. I'll have to either just tune in and out or watch it when I get back. So if you find that I'm a little bit quiet, that'll be why. But there'll be some comments after that for sure.
He's just putting it out there in advance. Now, we should actually mention, we haven't brought it up for a while, but our fantasy leagues are still ongoing in there and a part of the group chats and stuff as well. So we've got our Rocky Mountain League, which the last few weeks, last week I didn't have any signal at the 8 hours, so I didn't put any tips. So I'm doing terrible this season. And the couple of rounds before, I just had absolute shockers in the bootleg league with Lachlan's results showing me as pretty much last. So, yeah, well done myself.
Yeah, I think I wanted to give a fantasy update, but Lachlan's a bit behind. He's a busy man, so we haven't had the last two weeks of results. So hopefully, probably maybe by next week, we'll be able to give a full rundown on scores and see how everyone's going. Yeah,
we Lachlan's just got the family man on cap on and the working man cap on, so he does get to those scores, but they're generally the day or so before the weekend. The other thing that we've got is that Fantasy Moto as well, Fast Moto, I should say, Fast Moto League. They are actually updating to version 2.0, I think they're calling it, Benny, for their platform. Haven't looked at it yet myself. That's just what I'm going to do this week ahead of the round to see what changes they've implemented. Keen to see if it's a little bit improved and a few little glitches, maybe a bit easier to operate. So if you haven't already, you need to check out Fast Moto as well.
Yeah, I think it dropped today. I think the update dropped today.
I think there was early access from last week for the paying members. But yeah, I think today was the day. You're right, Benny, about that being available to everybody. So yeah, get over there and check it out. Give the feedback to them. I'm sure they'll be looking for any problems with it to try and keep the platform up and running as smooth as possible. And it's just another slight variation of fantasy games that are out there. So check it out. It's the Australian one. They also do the Australian Supercross side of things as well. So they had that series there as well. So yeah, pretty cool there. Fantasy League. get involved. All right. I think we're going to wrap it up, Benny.
I think that's it.
I think that's it. Great show. Apart from the technical issues. We had a few too many tonight. I'm going to blame myself. I was trying to make improvements and turns out I just stuffed everything. So apologies to the listeners and the watchers. If you missed the audio from the start because of my efforts, they will be a part of the podcast because that's recorded on a separate device. There will be no issues there. So check that out. So like we always say, if you're watching on the YouTube, great, thank you. Subscribe to the channel. But if you need to listen on the audio, go and find it on your favorite podcast player. It's over there as well. But if you're on your podcast, come and find us on the YouTube. We need you subscribing as many as you can to help us out here. Join the community, pay the monthly subscriptions. They're very small amounts, but they help support us and keep things rolling. On that topic too, if you want to buy a t-shirt, we need to get these sold, $25 plus postage and handling. Once we get all these ones sold, we can make a few new designs, which will be something we look to ahead of Supercross. So we need to sell the last few of these. You need to email me info@alwaysmoto.com, and that way we can get your t-shirt at $25 plus postage and handling. But that's pretty much it. Thanks to Technic Motorsport, Duramoose, Yamaha Motor Australia, Pivot Pegs, Competitive Edge Performance, and Tech 167 3D Printing for the show support. Thanks to the wife and kids for letting me get this done yet again, and for the race win at the 8 hour in the team mixed with the WR250. But that's it. We'll see you at the track.